This is the Punk Mang Z. This is chess. Today's topic is Tactics, the Easy Way by Punk and Monk and the Z. All three at once, baby. All right. So how's your day going? Wefat, how you doing, guy? How's the weather? It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Since you're here, I will start almost right away. Are you ready? Are you ready, buddy? Are you ready for the Tactics by the Punk? All right. Here we go. Let me see. How do we now energize the situation? Let me see. Let me see. Here it is. All right. Can you see me? Can you see me? Okay. Should I do it with glasses or without them? What do you think? Talk to me. With or without? All right then. They're coming off. All right. Here we go. On the count of three or backwards. Three, two, one. Voila. Baby blue, baby. These are baby blues. Yes, sirree. Here we go. So, tactics. That's our subject. All right. So, we're going to learn something about tactics. Where do we start? Well, you know something from prior videos about power moves. So let me bring that subject up. Power moves. So power moves are the most forcing moves in a position. There are three types of power moves: checks, attacking the king; capture or taking something; and threat. And a threat could be a check in two or a capture in two, for example. All right. So when you calculate a sequence of moves, right, it's going to be composed of those three types in a sequence. All right, only those three types. So you're looking for moves which are going to fit that category. All right. So now in this position, we're looking for a breakthrough. And what is a breakthrough? A breakthrough is when you break in and maybe on the verge of winning, perhaps. Okay. Now let's take a look at this position. And do you have any thoughts about this position? Okay, what do we do? Okay, so we have 5 pawns each. Queen, queen, rook, rook, bishop, knight. Okay, material is the same. A bishop is better than a knight. And yeah, our queen and rook are very active. They have targets. And black pieces are behind the wall, the pawn wall. They're not very effectual, are they? So this is looking very favorable. So now the question is, what do we do? What do we do? Where's the breakthrough? Okay. Now, if you see it, you see it. That's excellent. If you don't, then think back to power moves. Okay. Can you find some power moves here that work? Okay. And I'm gonna give you something called the rule of three. Okay, a rule of three. And what is a rule of three? Rule of three says when you're attacking, you should attack at least with three moves. So the rule of three says you should have a team attacking three pieces, okay? And you always mate usually with two pieces, right? So if you have three pieces, you can sacrifice one theoretically, and you mate with two. If you're attacking with four pieces, you're always mating with two pieces. So if you're attacking with a group of four, you can sacrifice two and mate with two, right? And if you're attacking with five pieces, then you can what? Sacrifice three and mate with two. Okay, if you're attacking with 6 pieces, then you can sacrifice 4 and mate with 2. And if you're attacking with 7 pieces, then you can sacrifice 5 and mate with 2. You see that? Is that interesting? So, what does this mean? It means the greater the mismatch, the more probable there'll be a favorable combination. That's what it means. Okay? So, this is a piece of information which might be useful for you. Okay? So, if you can create a mismatch, you should be looking for combinations. And combinations are based on power moves. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. Now, do we have any checks? Now let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what we can do here. Okay, do we have any checks? Well, let me look. Let me look. Um, well, I have a check here. That's it. There's no more checks. Okay. I mean, king can take, and the queen can take. Okay, and we lost a queen for a pawn. That doesn't make sense. So we do have one check, but it's no good. Okay. So the next thing is capture. Do we have any captures? So we have a capture where? We have a capture here. We have a capture here, right? So we have two captures. Excuse me. So we have two captures, and now the question is, and now the question is, so now the question is, we have two captures. Which one do we start with? Okay. Now, usually the rule is um, you take with the strongest piece. But if I take queen takes h6, if I play queen takes h6, pawn takes, and then maybe rook takes, and we're threatening mate, okay, because of the bishop and rook join on that square, okay. But I don't think it's going to work because, well, for one thing, the knight can come here, right, and it's going to cover that square, right? Okay, so that makes no sense. What about bishop takes g7? Will that work? Okay, so let's look at this position and see if bishop takes g7 works. Okay, so do you see bishop takes g7? What do you think black is going to do? When we play bishop takes g7, we have +1. Black is -1. Materially, we're winning. And what do we do? What's going to happen after bishop takes g7? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Any statements? Why can black take? Why can black take? Why not? Why can he take back? Well, let's see. Let's take a look. All right. So, okay, so if bishop takes g7, that's a capture. King takes, okay, and now a check and another check, and it's checkmate. So, let's go back and look at this. Okay, so we look at the power moves that start with check. They were no good. Then we made a list of capture moves, and we decided that there are two of them: queen takes and bishop takes. We eliminated queen takes because it doesn't lead anywhere. We looked at bishop takes g7, which is a take, and that worked out pretty well because after take, we continue with a check, and then we continue with another check. So, and this is a checkmate. Okay, this is a checkmate. So in this position, the variation was made of power moves, and they were take, check, and check, or capture, check, and check. You see that? So those are the three categories of moves. Okay, in a particular sequence. Okay, you see what I'm saying? All right. And let's move to the next one and let's see what we can find here. All right. Let's go here and let's see what we can do with this position. All right. Now take a look at this position and yeah, take your time. And what are you thinking about? Okay, what are you thinking about? Oh, you want to go, you want to go to the first example? Okay, let's go to the first example and we'll take a look. All right, hold on. All right. Okay, so what are you saying? After bishop takes g7, what are you saying? So after bishop takes pawn on g7? Well, okay, I mean, the knight can move. Okay, the knight can move, but we won a pawn. Okay, so we are +1 already. We're winning materially. And even with your suggestions, for example, um, after this move, I mean, knight can move, right? But then we can take here, and now we're +2, and we're threatening mate. You see that? Okay, so black is going to continue losing material. This is pretty bad. Okay, and come to think of it, yeah, this is horrible, right? You see what I'm saying? Okay, right, right. So let's go back, and so so in this position, after taking on g7, we are +1, and black is -1. And if the knight that did move, for example here, okay, we are +2, and black is -2. Okay, I mean usually when you're +1, and if the other side has no compensation, that is enough to win the game. Just being +1 with no comp. Okay, but now we are +2. And where's the compensation? I mean, there isn't any. I mean, the queen and rook are passive, and I don't know what the knight does. Okay, we're threatening checkmate next move. Okay, and we have a +2. We have a material advantage, and our attack is continuing. I mean, I think this is just busted. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Let's go to the next one and figure this one out. Okay, so hopefully what we're going to try to do here is try to learn how to do tactics by learning some methods, some concepts, some ideas, some hints, some tips, and then put it all together, and maybe you'll find something that's applicable and you can reuse and you become a better player. So stay with me, and let's work at this, and cross our fingers and hope for the best. Yes. All right, now let's take a look at this position, and give you a few seconds or so to get familiar with this. Okay, it is white to play. We're playing white, and material is even, except it's bishop versus knight. That's the only difference here, and I guess the bishop is stronger because it can attack both sides of the board, and a knight is a short range piece, only attacks one side at a time. So I prefer, I guess, the bishop. Okay, and also it is white to play. Also, it is white to play, and well, not now. Now I'm not sure if I like the bishop that much. The only reason I really like the bishop because the bishop is offside. Okay, and that's the reason. Because usually having a bishop with an open center and having pawns on both sides of the board, that will favor the bishop. So there's no pawns on both sides of the board, only in one sector in the center. But the knight is on the edge of the board. That's the only bad thing here. Okay, and the only other bad thing is white to move, and having the move is an advantage. All right, so let's take a look at this. So when you play queen to h5, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Talk to me. Well, you're giving a check, yes? Okay, and take nine. So here's a position where it is a check and capture. It is a check and capture. Okay, so when I look at this position, this is what I think. You're right. Refat, you're correct. And so let me share with you what I'm thinking. It is white to play, and by having the move, I have some power. And my queen is on a white square, and his king is on a white square. So that's an indication that perhaps I can give a check if my queen and his king are on the same color. Okay, number one. And number two, This piece here, the knight, is LPDO. It's a loose piece, and loose pieces drop off. They're lost. Okay? So this piece is not connected with anything, and therefore it is a target. Okay? Okay? So this is not protected. It's not joined with anybody else. It's alone and isolated. Okay? All right? And therefore it tends to be weak, unprotected. It's a target for white pieces. Okay? So if you compare this, let's say, with the animal kingdom, okay, when the wolf pack goes hunting, or the lion pack, or whatever, I mean, who do they target? They target pieces with low mobility, and who's that? The old, the young, the sick. Okay, so in this position, okay, the knight, the knight on a5. The knight on a5 is isolated from anyone, and therefore it is not protected. Okay, and it's a slow moving piece, and it's either old or too young or too sick. So when you play a move like check, okay, we have a double attack, right? We have a double attack. Okay, and we also have an attack on the horizontal, on a diagonal and horizontal, and the knight is unguarded, has no friends, and it's all over. Okay, so that is correct. So, what do we say about this position? What do we say about this position? What are the secrets that we can take with us? Okay, unprotected pieces are targets. That's the lesson. Okay, a king that's exposed is weak. Uh, a piece that's unprotected is weak, and now we have two weaknesses, right? And it's white to play, and then look for a square where we can hit both of them, double attack, and there it is. Okay, so that's it. I don't think I have any more comments about this position. And okay, so Evan Star, welcome to the show. And what are you thinking? What are you telling me? Oh, that's your answer, I guess. And that's correct. Okay, so do you have any more questions about this? Do you want to make any statements about this position, or do we move on? Okay, 20 seconds. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, then. All right. And you missed a small part early on. And I don't know, I think I said some things which were important. So make sure you go back and revisit the words of wisdom I gave. And who knows? It might be a mind expanding experience. And who knows? Anyway, let's go on. Let's go on to the next one. All right. And here's the next one. And let's make it a little larger, and let's look at it. Now, this is very interesting. I'm not really sure why I put this one up, because it's not going to include a checkmate or winning material, but the topic could be, for example, checkmate, winning material, or something else. So I guess this might fall under the category of something else. What do you think this is about? What is so attractive about this position? Why do you think I was attracted to this? Okay, it is white to play. Any ideas? Yeah, baby. So I'm listening to music. So if I'm kind of twirling my head or whatever it's called, because I'm listening to some beats, man, in the background. All right. So what's going on here? What's going on? Okay. Well, the reason you don't know how to win, because it's impossible to win. Impossible. Okay. Now, why do you think I say it's impossible? Because neither king can cross the equator. All the crossing points across the equator are closed off. Take a look at it very carefully. Yeah, the kings cannot cross over. Okay, so there's a force field that keeps each king on their own end of the board. Okay, let's take a look. What I mean. Let's take a look. I mean, if this king moves up here, he cannot enter here or there. Okay, and he cannot do it because of this pawn. Right, right, and he cannot. And so where else can he go? Well, I guess he can walk here. He can walk here, he can walk here, here. He cannot enter there or there, okay, because of these two things, okay? And this king here, I mean, if he walks up, he cannot enter this, right? And if he goes here, he cannot enter this because of this. See? Right? And where else can he go? Can he go this way? No, it's closed off. Okay? And he cannot go either, let's say this way, right? Because it's closed off. Okay, so if you see, so you see, it is impossible to win. Okay, and that's what's interesting about this position. I thought. Okay, neither side has any chance of winning. Okay, so each side has a fortress, so to speak. Okay, where it prevents the other king from crossing over. Okay, I thought it was kind of interesting. Okay, so we have like two playgrounds, and there's total safety for each side, and each king can play on their side of the board, and with total safety. And it's a draw. Still, yeah, it's a draw. Okay, so there you go. Hey Gary, baby, welcome to the chat, man. Welcome to the chat. This is Punk Monk Z, baby, and you're a little bit late for the show. Make sure you go back because at the beginning of this show I said some things which were kind of very enlightening for me. Well, I knew it before anyway, but it might be an eye opener for you. So you should go back and listen to it, buddy, and see if it's true or not. Okay? And if it is, it's worth the time and effort. Yeah, baby. And here I have a little chocolate here. Can you see it? A little chocolate. Okay? And what kind of chocolate do you think I'm going to munch on? Here we go. What kind of chocolate is this, do you think? Who can guess? What am I munching? What kind of chocolate am I munching on? Any thoughts? Anybody? Nobody knows? Can anybody guess? Yeah, well, it's ordinary. It's a milk chocolate, baby. Milk chocolate. Okay? Milk chocolate. I think that's my favorite one. I think it goes back to my childhood. My mom's, she used to get me chocolate when I was a kid. And I remember something vaguely. She said, it's good for your brain. All right? That's what she said. And now, a few years later, here I am eating chocolate again. Do you believe it? Do you believe it? Unbelievable. Anyway, all right. So let's move on to the next one. Let's explore the next one. Let's see what we can take from the next one. Okay, we're here to take things. All right. Now look at this one. Look at this one. Okay. And here's the position. And I want you to get familiar with this position. I'll give you a 20 seconds or so, and then we'll chat about it. Okay. Now look at this. I mean, if it's black to play, black is going to play. Wait a minute. What am I doing? I'm doing some bad things. Okay, hold on. If it's black to play, black is going to go checky wecky and mate on that square, right? All right. So and then he has also two pawns, which are like two squares each for making her a queen. Wow. I mean, forget about the queens. I mean, it's mating too. All right. The only good thing about our position, it's what? It's our move. And maybe because it's our move and having the move is a power situation for us. Okay, maybe we can salvage the situation somewhat. Okay, and I don't mean win, but maybe we can draw. So Who can tell me how this might work? And this is a pattern. Yeah, well, thank you. Anyway, so look at this one. Look at this one. So how do we do this? I mean, what's going on? I mean, how do we think about this? Okay, we're getting killed here. Okay, we need to do something immediately. And the only way to stop white from killing us if we play a certain type of move. Okay, and it has to be a forcing move. It has to be a power move. Okay, it is not a threat because we get mated in two. It is not a capture. We get mated in two. So it must be what? It has to be a check, and that's the only thing that can stop the black army of moving is the check. Okay, because when I play check, the king has to move into situation. Okay, right. So now that's right. We have to now somehow check with the knight. Now, and this is what you have to kind of memorize. Look where the knight is. The knight is the knight is on the F file. Okay, all right, on the F file. All right, and it's on the square. It's on the square F6. Right. All right, so it's on F6. Okay, and the rook is on D2. So now if I play check, right, and the king moves to, let's say, E8, we can do check again and protect the rook, and then he has to move over, and we can repeat the motion, and if he goes back, check, and we can keep repeating the motion. So if he goes back again, we're going to have a 3-move repetition, and therefore, by the rules of chess, it'll be a draw. Okay, and the only question now is what happens if black doesn't want to draw because he has mate in two, baby, mate in two. If he doesn't want to draw, then let's see what happens. So we go checky wecky, and now what happens? Let's see. So now if he goes to the right, we can go check again, and if he continues going to the right, it's mate. Okay, it's mate. Do you believe this? Okay, so when we have this position like this in front of us, okay, with this pattern, knight on f6, and the rook somewhere on the 7th rank, right? We have either a perpetual check or a possible potential checkmate. Okay, it all depends what black wants. Does he want to take a draw and say, I'll accept the reality of the situation, or is going to deny the reality, and by denying it, he's going to get killed. So that's the situation. So memorize this pattern: knight on f6, and the rook is on the 7th rank, right? 7th rank, knight on f6 gives you that outcome, either a checkmate or a perpetual. So this is a pattern you need to learn. Okay, so take a little time by looking at this and somehow storing it in your mind. Yeah. So yeah, take your time and store this pattern in your mind, and I'll give you maybe about 20 seconds or so, and okay, I'm reading Nightboat myself. Wow, very flattering stuff. It's there. Um, wow, I didn't write that. Wow. Anyway, there you go. Wow, cool. Anyway, so there you go. And so take a look at this pattern, memorize it, put it in your memory. It's a pattern, and you should know it. And this pattern could save your game if you're losing. Like in this instance, Black was not able to win because it was not his move. And materially, White is completely busted. But because of this configuration of the knight and rook, like this, knight on the 6th, rook on the 7th, you know, White was able to salvage the position and not lose, either with a perpetual check or a win. It's not forced. Okay, it's not forced. Okay, it's not forced. Okay, so if you saw me what I did, if the king goes to the left, we get a perpetual. If he goes to the right, he gets mated. Okay, so if the king goes to the corner, he gets mated. If the king goes to the left, It's a perpetual. You see that? So let me just quickly play it for you. Okay, watch. Okay, Checky Wecky goes to the left. Checky Wecky goes to the left. Checky Wecky. I mean, we are repeating the position. Okay, check. You see that? But if we play check and he goes to the right and moves to the corner, check. Okay, it gets mated. It's over. Okay, so the result depends on black's king. Okay, what direction does he take? Okay, but one thing for sure. Okay, we cannot lose with white. If you remember this pattern with the knight and the rook, where they are in the initial position. All right, Gary. So that's that. Okay, so this is a very important pattern to know. Okay, it's kindergarten level, kindergarten. Okay, we all kindergarten gardeners. No, not gardeners. Kindergarten kids. Okay. Yeah, baby. And yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's find something else we can take with us. Okay, let me see what that might be. Let's see. All right. Now, this is a cute one. I thought so. So, our subject today in this stream is what? What is the subject? The subject is tactics. The subject is tactics. The easy way by Punk Monk Z Baby. The easy way. Now look at this position. Look at this position, and what are you thinking when you see a position like this? Okay, what are you thinking? I mean, look at this. I mean, this is so lovely. This is so lovely. I mean, we have three invaders for white. All three pieces have crossed physically into enemy territory. So we have three invaders. Okay. Now black has no invaders because there's nothing of black's pieces inside white's territory. Okay. Okay. The only item that's attacking white's territory, maybe at best, is this pawn. Okay. Let me show you. This pawn here, it's attacking like two squares across the equator. Okay. But the queen, the bishop, and the rook have crossed the equator physically, and they're affecting black's position in a serious way. So this is called invasion. Okay, so the invasion is is the last part of the attack. Okay, invasion, and just after that, some kind of catastrophe is going to happen. Okay, some kind of combination. Okay, some kind of combination. And what is a combination? A combination is a sequence of force moves, usually involves a sacrifice, and result of that is a favorable outcome. Okay, and you say it's mate in two. Well, how is it mate in two? Tell me. How is this mate in two? Talk to me, baby. How's the mate in two? So this is Punk Monk Z, baby. This is Punk Monk Z. Welcome to the Punk Monk Z show. Today's subject is tactics, the easy way, the Punk Monk way, baby. And yeah, so this is the right place to be for mind expansion. So queen to h3, and then what? Queen to h3, and that's a check. Oh, that is true. Queen to h3. Queen to h3 is a check, is it? And the king is frozen. The king is after queen to h3. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. So the suggestion is queen to h3, and the king is being hit, right? And the king can't move over because of this piece, right? And what can he do? So what I need to do is to block here, right? And then the queen is going to eat that with a check and mate. Okay. Uh-huh. All right. That is correct. That is correct. Okay, that is very true. Um, I hate to say it. In my preparations, I forgot to put a pawn here. There should be a pawn here. Okay, so when you gave me that solution, I was a little surprised I did not see it before. But now I see why I didn't see it, because the actual problem was there was a pawn on that square. And yeah, so let me correct that. Should I correct it? Okay, let me correct that. But you know what, Vefat, you're correct. With the pawn missing on h5, you're right. Okay? All right. Very good. So let's see. Maybe I should fix that right now. Maybe I should fix that right now. Um, okay. Um, Yeah, it gets harder. So when you said queen to h3, and I saw your solution, and your solution was correct, I was kind of puzzled. How come that when I put this together, that's not the solution I was looking at? And the reason is I forgot to put a pawn on h5, a black pawn on h5. You know what? Let me correct it right now. Let me correct it right now. Let me think how to do this. Just a minute. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. How do I correct this? Just a sec. Um, just a second. Just a second. All right, here we go. Hope for the best. Let me see. How do I get? Oh yeah, yes. I have to do this first. And now what? Um, Let me see. How would I correct it? I think I have to. I have to open this forum, and then what? Okay, hold on. And then I have to edit. Let me see it. Let me see it. Just a sec, please. Oh, it's at the bottom. Excuse me. And let me just correct this quickly for us. And yeah, and let's set up this position. And let me put a pawn here. And let me save it. Let me see how it looks. Does this make sense? Okay, hold it, hold it, hold it. Ay, ay, ay. See? When you make mistakes, then you have to redo it and waste time. So the lesson is, you know what the lesson is? The lesson is don't make mistakes. This way you save time. So we have it right here. And let's go with this. I mean, I probably don't have a solution, but I'll play the solution. All right, so yeah. So let me blow this up again. And let me go here. All right. So there you go. This is the way the position should look. Thank you for helping me to correct this. All right. Junkrat Daddy. Junkrat Daddy. Junkrat Daddy. Okay. All right. So, no, have I looked at endgame tactics the easy way? Yeah, I did them. I did two of them, right? Are you asking me or somebody else? Okay, unless there's a book out there with the same title. And if that's the case, I don't know about the book. Anyway, so here's the position. Now, let's revisit this position with a slight change. Now, how do we play this? Now, just a minute. You know, there's something a little bit wrong here. Um, okay, hold on. There's still something wrong here with this position. Okay, hold on. Okay, just a sec. Why is this wrong? Yeah, this is still wrong. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I have to now change something else. Do you believe this, guys? Okay, so be patient with me because for some reason I am messing up more than normal. Okay, so let me see. So yeah, let me correct this again. Let me correct this again. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, let me correct this again. Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, people. All right, so is this the position? And let me do the setup the correct way. So I think this is the position, this is the position, this is the position. No. This is the starting position. And now let's insert. Let's insert. And now let's bring it back. Okay. And this is the this is the position. Now insert and post. All right, I think this should work. This should work. And if it doesn't, If it doesn't, wow, if it doesn't, I don't know what to say if it doesn't. All right, here we go. Here we go. So this is the position, and voila, baby. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. Unbelievable. And the hits keep coming. How you like my style? Okay, hold on. I forgot something again. Jeez. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. What am I thinking? Just a minute. Okay, one more jazz adjustment, and I think we'll get there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, you know what? The good side about this, it shows you what it means to be human. Okay? And how much we are prone to error. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is my third, I think, attempt to correct this. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. I have no, I'm clueless what I'm doing, but eventually I will do it. Why is this, why is it doing this, people? Oh, I know why. I know why. Just a minute. Let's do this. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Unbelievable. All right, so is this the position? Yeah, I think I need to put a bishop on that square. Yeah? All right, white to move, and this is the position. Okay, let's cross our fingers and energize. Baby, here we go. Unbelievable. 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 Let me get there. Let me get there. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so, let me see who's watching me make all these blunders. Oh, there's not many of you. So, who thinks I got it right this time? Okay? Or do you think I'm just kind of messed up guy? All right, so here's the position. It is white to play. It is white to play. Now, how do you go about doing this? Okay, I mean, what are the signals in the position that will tell you what to look for? So the position always carries some signals, and if you can pick up on those signals, on those clues, then you can find the solution. All right, okay, talk to me. What do you see, Gary? What do you see? All right, so let me then explain the situation, okay? Let's start looking at the power move method, okay? Do I have any checks? That's the first question. Well, I have a check here. Okay, that's kind of stupid. Okay, it goes yum yum, who's your daddy? And yeah, my queen is gone. And how could this be right? It's not. So that check sucks. How about this check? Okay, I mean that's stupid too. The bishop is gonna eat the queen. Okay, so I have two checks. Do you have any more checks? No, that's it. So when we look at the power approach, okay, the two checks that I have to look at don't work, and now I'm looking for a capture. Okay, where are the captures? Okay, where are the captures? Well, I mean I have a capture here. Okay, that's stupid. I have a capture here. That's stupid. Okay, so we look at checks, we look at captures, and now let's look at threats. Okay, threats. Now, what is a threat? A threat is a threat maybe could be defined as preparing a move for your second move, which is going to have impact as a check or a capture. All right, so that's the idea. So now, since there's no checks that are any good, and since there's no captures which are any good, we're on the level of threats. Okay, and now what kind of threats can we make in this position? That's the question. Yes. Okay, that is correct. We can make a threat against the queen. Okay, so we can play maybe this move. That's a threat. Okay, that's a threat. Okay, so basically that's a threat. So we're giving a check to the queen, so to speak, right? Okay, so if we cannot attack the king, then we go to the next level, okay, of priority, which is the queen. Okay, and if we cannot get the queen, then we look at the rook as the next target. But we do have a queen, so let's examine the queen. Okay, and what's going to happen when we play this move? Rook to e6. Okay, rook to e6. Well, why can I move? Don't tell me I didn't program it's white to play. Yeah, that's what I did, people. Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay, how many times do I get embarrassed here? Okay, hold on, hold on. Wow, this is really good. You know, when it rains, it pours. Unbelievable. Okay, hold on. Let me go back here. Let me think. What is my name? Okay, hold on. Unbelievable. Okay, here we go. Let me correct it now. Again, for the fourth time. Let me see. All right. So what is this? So set up position, and it's white to move. Okay. So let me see. Black to move, white to move. Okay. Insert. All right. Let's try it. Let's see if this works. Well, this is a memorable situation for me, to guys. I don't think I have ever made so many mistakes at one time. All right, so let's see. Let's see if it works. So rook to e6 check. Yes, it does works. And we're attacking the queen, right? So the queen has to slide over, right? Okay. And what happens now? What happens now? Let me go back a little bit and give you guys a clue, okay? Let me go back a little bit and give you a clue. Okay. Now, I have a bishop. Okay. We have a bishop, and the bishop attacks the white squares, right? Attacks the white squares, right? Okay. That's interesting, right? And and there are two targets on the white squares, right? There are two targets on the white squares. So I have a bishop. I have a bishop, which is a white square bishop, and I have two targets, which are always on the white squares. Okay. And so what I need to do is that both targets have to have a greater value than a white square bishop on d5. Okay, do you understand that? All right. If I can do that, then I can create a very serious threat. Okay? So so the clue number 1 is bishop attacks white squares, and and uh, and black's rook and bishop are also on the white squares, and these targets in blue have to be of a greater value than the bishop. But the bishop here, this bishop and this bishop are the same value, right? Okay, so somehow when we play the rook here, right, we're going to take off the bishop so the queen can replace it. You see that? So the queen will replace it, and then the rook and the queen will be on the same diagonal. Then we have a bishop on attacking the white squares, and we have two targets which are also on the white squares, and both targets have greater value than the bishop. Okay, so that's the huge clue. Okay, and that's a signal I'm getting when I look at a position like this. Okay, I think you guys have enough information, okay, to figure this out. Okay, yes, that is correct, Junkrat Daddy. Okay, so so I gave you good information, no? Okay, so you can find the solution, right? And somebody says, why not queen to f7? Um, and I think one reason. Um, oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so after this move, and somebody says, why not this, right? Why not that? Well, it's the same situation. It's the same situation. We can take here, and the queen will have to take back, and then the queen, and then the queen, and the rook on the white squares like the bishop. You see that? So we get the same position whether the queen went here or whether the queen went here. You see that? We'll get the same position. Okay? So that was a good point you made. Okay, that was a good point you made. And do you understand what I'm saying? All right. So now let's look at the solution. Let's look at the solution. Okay, let me take it back and this is the position. So anyway, so since we cannot do a check, let's see if we can do a check. So we the king is the piece of the greatest value, so we cannot get to it. So maybe we're going to look at the second piece of the greatest value is the queen. So let's start attacking the queen. So we attack the queen, and when the queen moves, we can go yum yum. Yum yum. And when the king take here, then we have this move. Okay, and we have a pin. Okay, and the bishop and the queen attack the rook two times, and it's only guarded one time. Okay, it's only guarded one time. Okay, you see. So it's 2 to 1, and therefore the rook is going to be dropped. Okay, and when the rook drops, then white is going to be a piece up, right? Okay, and I don't think the position changes. For example, in this position, for we play rook to e6, and this was the suggestion made here. Okay, we can do this, yes, and we get the same position as the one we looked at before. Okay, where we have a bishop, and the bishop is attacking two targets, and both targets are bigger value than the bishop itself. Okay, and it's a double attack with the bishop and the queen, and there's only one guard. There's only one guard, the queen. Okay, and therefore at the end of this variation, okay, let's do something. Let's do something. We can just maybe, well, what do we do? We can just, I know, we can just even do this. Okay, and just win. All right. So there you go. Any questions? Okay, so I don't know. I mean, let's go back. I mean, whenever you do like a tactical exercise like this, okay, if you want this experience to stay with you for a while, a long time, and if it's going to be stored in your memory, I think a useful thing to do is when you look at the position, okay, and you know what the solution is, you have to ask yourself the question, why does this work? Okay, and if you can explain why it works, then you have learned something. Okay, now here's my question. Okay, my question is, do you know why this works? Okay, and if you know why this works, can I hear a yes? So type in a yes in the chat, and if you're able to do that and you do it honestly, then you have learned this pattern and you know how the pattern works, and that's part of your that's a chunk pattern that's stored in your memory, and you're good to go. Okay, so you guys know how this works? Can I hear one yes? Okay, so one of you guys write yes in the chat, so I'll know that one of you understands it, and I'll move on to the next one. Okay, very good. All right, let's see what we can find in the next example. All right, here we go to the next example, and yeah, this is kind of pretty easy. Okay, this is kind of pretty easy, and let me pull it. Okay, don't close your eyes, guys. Close your eyes. Don't look yet. Okay, so this is the position. This is the position, and it's black to play. Rook takes d3. Okay, Gary. I mean d3. Did you say? Okay, Gary. Let's look at this for a second, Gary. Um, yeah. Uh, in this position. Yeah, in this position, Gary. D3 is this square. D3 is this square. So I don't know what you mean. So when I play here, when I play this move here, it's white to play, right? And I play here, and I play this. I mean, this is the D3. This is D3. D3 has nothing to do with the problem. You see what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Let's go to the next one and figure it out. All right. So here's the next one, and let us blow it up, and let's chat about this one. Okay. And this position. Okay, I'll give you a little time to get familiar with this position, and Well, if bishop takes d3, then bishop will take the queen. If bishop takes d3, then rook takes f8, takes the queen with a check. Okay. All right. Anyway, I missed it. You know what? All right, I missed it. Okay, so, okay, let me see if I missed it, Gary. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay, all right. Let's see. All right. So, Gary, is this the position we start with? Yes or no? Can I hear something? Is this a starting position, Gary? Yes or no? Gary, is it yes or no? Okay. Okay. Our first move is rook to. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Don't let me not mess this up. Okay. So our first move is rook to e6 here, right? That's our first move. Do you agree? Yes or no? Yes or no, Gary? Is that a yes or no? Do we agree on this first move for white? Yes. Okay, what does black do, Gary? Give me a move. What does black do? Give me a move. Okay. Queen goes to f8. Okay, will you accept that as a move? Will you accept it as a move? Okay. So let's do this. Let's put it here, right? And now I play. It's white to play, and I take the bishop. Okay. Okay. Now in this position. Okay, we did that, and I took the bishop on e8. Now it's black to play. What does black do now, Gary? What does black do now, Gary? Tell me the move. What does black do now? Talk to me. Well, he has to take the rook, yes, with the queen. Yes or no? All right, so let me make the move for you then. Okay, queen takes, right? And now I pin the rook. And now here's the position. Here's the position. Okay, and it's black to play. What are you suggest? Oh, ho ho ho! I see what you're saying. Oh my God, did I mess this up? Wow, 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 wow. That's pretty amazing. Oh, let me look at this. Wow. Oh. Okay, you know what, guys? You know what? Okay, maybe I made another error here, and very good, Gary. I think the position should have the king maybe on f1. Okay, in that case, it doesn't work, does it? If the king is on f1, rook takes d3 doesn't work because I can take the queen. If you play check on d1, my king goes to e2. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, but the way things stand right now, you're correct. You're correct. It's kind of unbelievable, but you're right. Okay, so the king has to stay in f1, and this whole sequence will work then. You see that? But but you found it. Okay, with the king on g1, you can play rook takes on d3, right? Unbelievable. That's a beautiful move. Beautiful move, Gary. Good job. Good job. All right. You know what? How many mistakes have I made on this problem? Okay. You know what? Maybe the best thing for me to do is bury this problem. Okay. And yeah, let's bury it. Okay. Unbelievable. But let's bury this one. Okay. Hold it. Okay. But Gary is right. The way things stand there, and you can take on D3. All right. So here's the position. Okay. So here's the position, the starting position. And let's look at this one. Gary MC squared. Okay. Very good. Excellent. Yeah, he's a little Kasparov. That's correct. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so look at this position, and whose move is it? It's black to play here. It is black to play. Okay, and you have to find the best move. That's right. Gary Kasparov. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Gary is my buddy from the chess club, and wow, he corrected me. Amazing. Wow. So basically, I made like in the last position, when I posted the position, I made two errors. Okay, f5 pawn was missing, and king should be on f1. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, all right then. That's the way life is. Okay, all right. In this position, it is black to play. It is black to play. Any thoughts? Any thoughts what to do, guys? Okay, so rook to d1. Okay, that is correct. Can you type in the variation for us? Okay, so rook to d1 is a check, and okay, rook to d1 is a check. Okay, let's take a look. So rook to d1 is a check, right? It's a check, and the king cannot go to h2 because the queen keeps it from exiting, right? Okay, so white is forced to take here on d1 with the rook. So rook to d1, rook takes d1, and what is your next move? Excellent, 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 excellent. Okay, let's take a look. That is perfect. All right, so let me get rid of this and start again. So rook to d1 is a check, attacks the king, right? And the king cannot run because the queen says you can't go there, right? So he has no choice than to capture here, okay? But now who's protecting the queen? Okay, no one. And then therefore, queen takes queen and black wins a queen for the rook, which is a difference at least of a 5. Okay, and that's correct. All right, so the rook is protecting the queen. So by playing rook to d1, you deflect the rook from protecting the queen, and the queen is LPDO, loose pieces drop off, and the queen will going to pick it up because there's nothing supporting the queen. That's pretty good. Good job. Good job. And let's move on to the next one. Excellent. Excellent. What is this? All right, let's take a look at this one and we'll figure out what this is. All right, let's go back. This is the position, and it's white to play, I guess. Okay, look at this, guys. In this position, it's white to move. It's white's move, and yeah, and let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. It's white to play. Now, if you don't know the answer, then you should use the power approach. Okay, by trying out moves that carry a check or a capture or a threat. So those are the three categories. So if you use this power move categories, you should be able to, hopefully, to find the solution. Okay, and at first level, the strongest level theoretically is checks. So now you look for checks. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make a mental list of all the checks. So let's take a look and see how we can do that. Well, the rook can go here. That is a check. All right. Tish check makes no sense. 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 Okay, so the queen moving anywhere makes no sense. But this rook, maybe. Okay, and that's it. So basically, if I'm going to do anything here, I'm going to look at the rook check and see what it does. Okay, because if I play here, you're going to take me. Yeah. If I play here, you're going to take me. Yeah. If I play here, you're going to take me. Yeah. Okay. If I play here, you're going to take me. Yeah. Okay. Even the bishop might take. Okay. So yeah. So the queen checks are no good. The queen. Okay. Or even here, take. Yeah. So the queen checks are no good, but I'm not sure about the rook check. Okay. So basically, there are many checks here. I eliminated all the queen checks because they made no sense to me. And I'm not sure about the rook check on e8. And that's something we have to look into. All right? So let's look into that move and see what's going on. Okay? So what are we doing here? Rook to e8 check. What happens? What happens after rook to e8 check? Okay? What happens? Okay, I think you've okay. So Vefat found one answer. If we play rook check, okay, let's do this. If I play rook check, okay, and the queen takes, there's nobody protecting the f6 pawn. And if we take here, it is a mate because the queen attacks on the dark squares diagonally, and the bishop prevents escape. Okay, and that is correct. Okay, now let's go back. Let's go back. Okay, and my next question is this. So that's okay, but okay. So this is the way you should be thinking about it. What you said is correct. What you said is correct. Okay. Um, oh, okay. Oh, Gary supplied the second answer. Okay. So if you put those two answers together, you have a solution. Okay. But each one of you gave half of the answer, and to get a complete answer, you should do it like this. So make a footnote on this. Okay. So each one of you propose an answer that came to your head first. Okay, but here's a secret. Are you ready? The secret is this: before you calculate anything, you should identify all the responses for black. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, so when I play this check, right? Okay, there's only two ways to remove the rook: with the queen and the bishop. All right, so one of you gave me the answer if queen takes, and the other gave me an answer if the bishop takes. Okay, okay, now so that each of you can have the full answer, you should say to yourself, in this position I can play bishop takes rook or queen takes rook. So basically you have to look at both choices for black and then continue. So all of a sudden, for example, in this position, after I play rook to e8, black has two choices. Okay, so you have to make a mental note. There are two defenses here. So if I pick the first one, if it doesn't work, I have to look at the second one. and see what happens. If the second one fails, I'll be mated. Okay, that's what black is thinking. Okay, and now if bishop takes, and then like Gary said, it's mate on g8. Okay, all right. So here's the thinking. I play. Okay, here's the thinking. So if I'm playing this for white, I'm gonna say I want to try rook to e8. Okay, after rook to e8, okay, I'm attacking the king. Right, I'm attacking the king. Right, and after I play this move here, and black will have two choices to do this or do that. So you make a mental note of those two choices. Then you start examining each one, each one. And when you finish with one, you go to the other. And when you go to the other, you have completed the possibilities. And then you know what's going on, and you have completed the whole process of thinking. Okay? You see? Instead of just playing the first line of defense, you should identify how many lines of defense there are and then tackle each one at a time and then go to the next one till it's done. Okay, so that is your lesson. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? Okay. Okay, very good. Um, all right. So if you guys disagree on the answer, you can replay that. You can replay the video later, and you can still look at the variation we looked at because the answers were given to the solution. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, let's see what the next one is. All right, so this is a cute one. I kind of like it a lot. Okay, and let me just play it here, and this is the position. Okay, I mean, when I do tactics, I think that the tactics that I'm really excited about are the tactics I understand. Okay, and usually I understand something if I understand how the pattern works. So I recognize a pattern. Okay, then I know the mechanics of the pattern, and I know what the key moves are because of a particular pattern. Okay, and that's what excites me. Okay, it's all about method. So you have to find effective methods, okay, that work, and when you do that, you will improve. So here's the position, and obviously white is winning. He's +5, and you have to have a +5 with no pawns in order to win. And white has a +5. Actually, rook could be considered 5.25. Okay, that might be more true value of a rook instead of just a 5. It might be 5.25. So we have a 5 or 5 plus. Okay, but according to the rule is if there's no pawns and you need a piece that's a 5 or more. And we have a piece that's a 5 or more. So this is a forced win. There's no defense. But now the question is, what is the efficient way to push this to a win? That's the question. So how do we go about doing this? That's the question. Can I hear a move? Can I hear a move? And let me hear it. And you can put your answer in the chat. Okay, you know what? Yeah, you know what? That is true. Verfat suggested rook to e6. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so right now the blocking is inside this box. See, the rook shoots here, and it's inside this box, right? Okay, so the blocking is inside the box. Okay, and inside the square here that's marked by yellow. Okay, and the blocking cannot exit the box because of the power of the rook, right? Okay, now when you make a move like this here with it, with that with the rook here, the box becomes smaller, right? The box becomes smaller, right? And now this becomes the box. Okay, you see that? If you play the move here, if you play the move here, rook to e6, you see that? That's how. So basically, you have reduced the box, and that's a good sign. Okay, so rook to e6 is correct. It works. Okay. All right. So let's do some math here just for a second. So if you play to rook to e6, then you have 3 by 5, right? 3 squares by what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 by 5, right? Okay. So that's a possibility. But if you play a move like this, and now where does he go? He has to go where? If he moves here, and then you can play this check, and I play this, and I hold the rook, and now we have reduced this. We reduced the situation to possibly like only 4 squares. You see that by playing this way. All right. So basically it's a question: what move shrinks the board faster? Okay. Of course, rook to e6 is a good move because you shrink the board. Oh wait a minute, I'm in the wrong screen. Just a minute. So of course, when you play rook to e6, you shrink the board, and you're doing good, right? So this is the box here after rook goes on that square, right? And so basically here, how many squares do you have free here? I mean, this square is free. Okay, let me change color. So this square is free, that square is free, that square, that square, that square, that square, that square, and that square, right? So now that's what, 2, 4, 6, 8. So in this position you have 8 squares if you play rook to e6. Yeah. All right. Now, but let's go back. But if I play this move and you play here, I can play this move. It's all forced, and now you reduce to 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 squares. Okay, so there you go. Um, yeah, so rook to e6 is good, but anyway, but I guess there's many ways that lead to Rome. Okay, there's nothing wrong with rook to e6. Okay, but the answer I gave here is to play the move, uh, to move over and then play the check. And I want to play the check because I want the king. Okay, do you know why I moved here? Um, because okay, okay. Now where is the king gonna go? The king can go to these squares, right? 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 So basically, I'm anticipating by moving here. And now when he moves over, kings are in opposition. That means the king cannot come up, right? Okay, so in a way, the blocking is in a cage because the blocking cannot go forward. So when the two kings are in opposition, I'm looking for a check. And this check pushes the king back to another rank. And all of a sudden, I've shut down many squares. So this is the fastest way. Okay, and when he moves here, uh, what I want, okay, the two kings are in knight distance apart. This is called knight opposition. What I want to do, I want the black king to go on a diagonal from the white king, and then I'm going to chase it. That's the pattern. So here I can make a waiting move. Okay, obviously it's not going to go this because the two kings will be in opposition, and I can drop the rook down the back rank and give mate. So he has to move on a diagonal from the white king. And what that happens is now I follow knight opposition from a diagonal, and now we have a diagonal again, and I move knight opposition from a diagonal, and now we have direct opposition facing each other, and I'm asking myself, where's the check? And there's a check. All right, and it's a mate. Okay, so do you guys understand this? Can I hear a yes from one of you guys, and we'll move on to the next example? Oh, I guess that's a yes. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, let's move on. All right. All right. So here's the position, the next one. And I want you guys to take it easy here. And it's white to play. It's white to play. The first thing you do is get familiar with the position. Don't rush it. Get familiar with position. And when you have all the facts in front of you, then you ask yourself, can I use the power approach? Can I use the power method? And all of you by now should understand what the power method is. It's three categories of type of moves: checks, captures, and threats. Okay, so whenever it's your turn, you're going to be using one of these three possibilities: check, capture, or threat. okay, and then put it together as a sequence of moves that will lead to a win. Okay, so that's what you're thinking here. Okay, all right. So get familiar with this, and I'll give you guys 20 seconds. Then we'll go from there. Okay, take your time. Okay, who's ready? Can I have two yeses if you're ready? Two yeses, and then we move on. Let me hear two yeses. Type in two yeses. Yes and yes. Then we'll move on. Rook h1. Uh, there's no rook h1 move here. Okay, we have one yes. Okay, rook h7. Okay, now, uh, Vefat, why did you choose rook h7? Why did you chase rook? Why did you choose rook takes h7? Tell me. How did you decide to pick that move? What is the criteria you use to pick that move? Rook takes h7. That's my question. Well, oh, it's forces mate. Well, that could be true. That could be true. But why did you choose the first move? Because the first move is the door. That's not true. If king takes, you don't win a queen because your queen is also under attack by the rook. There's a rook on f3 attacking the queen. Okay, so take your time. Cranberry juice. But you're right about the first move. Rook takes h7 is correct. Okay, and my question is, why did you pick that move to be your first move? Because the first move, you're entering a door that sets up the whole play. Why did you pick that door? I mean, there's many doors, but you pick that door. Okay, and when you walk through that door, okay, there's a sequence of moves that can only happen because you chose that door. Why that door? That's my question. And what's your answer? Okay, so the answer is rook takes h7 is the only move that gives check. Rook takes h7 is the only move that gives check. Okay, and check is one of our power moves, and it's our top pick whenever we try to look at the position and start to calculate something. The checking sequence is our first choice. That's the method of power moves. Okay, so rook takes h7, king takes, and knight to g6. You mean knight to f6, not g6? Oh, I'm confused. Rook takes h7, king takes h7, knight to g6. What? Knight to g6. The knight cannot go to g6. Okay, so let me show you. So if rook takes here, the king is going to take, and this is the g6 square. The knight cannot land there. It's too far away. Okay, so rook takes, king takes, and what's your second move? And the second move should be what kind of move? The second move should be what kind of move? And by the way, right, that's correct. It should be a check. And by the way, who knows the rule of three? Do you remember the rule of three I said before? The rule of three. What is the rule of three? It was at the beginning of this lecture. The rule of three. What does the rule of three say? When it comes to direct attack, what does the rule of three say? Who knows? Okay, let me tell you. The rule of three says when you're attacking the enemy king, you need at least three pieces to attack. Okay, you need two to give mate. That means you can sacrifice one. So if you have three, you can sacrifice one, you're left with two, and you can mate with two. Okay, you can mate with two. So the rule of three says you need at least three pieces to attack with. That's the rule of three. Rule of three says you need three pieces. If you're going to attack the enemy king, you need to have at least three pieces. That's the rule of three. And the reason for that is you need always two pieces to mate, and therefore you have an extra piece with the number three, and you can sacrifice one of them. You're left with two, and hopefully the two will give mate. Right? And then if you have, like, say, four pieces, you can sacrifice two and mate with two. And if you have five pieces, you can sacrifice three and mate with two. And if you have six pieces, you can sacrifice four and mate with two. If you have seven pieces, you can sacrifice five and mate with two. Okay? So this is the concept of the rule of three. Okay? And the probability of finding a combination increases the bigger the mismatch happens. The bigger the mismatch, the better the probability that the combination is going to work. Okay, so right now in this position, let's count how many pieces white has. Okay, so white has one piece, two piece, three piece, four piece, five pieces. All five pieces can see across the equator, okay, in the direction of the black king. So black has five pieces. That means theoretically he can sacrifice how many? So theoretically, how many can he sacrifice if he has five attackers? Who can tell me? That's correct. You can sacrifice three and mate with two. Yeah, you see that? So now this gives us a confidence to explore the possibility of losing three pieces and mating with two. And we explore different directions where that could happen and see what happens. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we are the theoretical we have a theoretical, what do you call it, freedom to explore that possibility. Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, but that's another direction, Vefat. Okay, we're going to take a look at this. Okay. So let's explore. Let's explore together. All right. Here we go. So we're looking for moves that give check. That's the first door. And there's only one move that can give check. It's this one here, okay? And there's no other checks besides rook takes. So according to our power move method, we have to explore the rook takes h7, okay? And that's the first move. So we do that, right? And now let's say now he has two choices. He can take or he can move, okay? So we make a mental list of two choices, okay? Mental move with two choices. And now why do I make a mental note? I make a mental note if king takes rook doesn't work, black is going to explore the possibility of going to g8. So let's say if he takes here, black is thinking, if I take the rook, what can happen? I win a rook. Wow, yay. But do I get killed? If I get killed, I don't want his rook, and I'm gonna go to the square here instead. But you know what? If I can win the rook and live, it's a free rook. I'm gonna have an easier time winning then, right? Because there will be less resistance. Okay, if he cannot mate me, I'm gonna have more power. So he examines this move, and now we're looking for a second move. And according to the power method, we have to look at checks again. And there's only one check here, and that's called a double check. Here's a check, and here's a check. And because the double check, the rook has no freedom to take the queen because the knight is also giving check, right? And now when the king moves, we can give a mate on h7. It's mate, yeah? Okay, so what do we see here? Let me take a look. Okay, so I want to explore the variation sequence that's made of the power moves. Here's the first power move, is a check. Second power move, double check. Third power move, check. Everything in the sequence is a check. Okay? That should give you a hint that power moves are the best way to attack with because they're all forcing. Okay? Now let's take a look what happens after 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 we play check and the king goes to g8, right? And then we can explore the move this. And now we have one piece attacking, second piece attacking, and third piece attacking. Okay? Okay? So that's a situation that could be forced, and we have to examine what happens there. Okay, so what can happen here? Well, any thoughts? Well, let's say if he takes out queen, for example, right? Okay, then go yum yum. It's a check and mate, so the queen has to take, right? So we go check. So he takes the queen. We go check. He moves over, and we pick up the rook. Yeah, and we have, let's count the pieces: one, two, three, two, one, and two. Okay. All right. So it's 3-2. We can conclude that we are winning because we have more material. Okay. Let's go back. Okay. So in this position, the possibilities are checkmate or winning material. Okay. And if we can satisfy any of these two results, then the rook takes h7 is justified. Okay. So guys. Okay. Um, do you understand? Do you think you understand something of what's being done here? And I think I'm focusing more on method, So you should be thinking about a method. So if you're going to learn anything here, it's not so much. It's not so much, for example, finding the correct moves, but find the correct method. By finding the correct method, and it's more important from my point of view for you to learn the method. Okay, I mean somebody can give you food to eat, okay, but if you know how to fish, you can do it on your own, most of the time. Okay, you see what do you understand what I'm saying? So the method is the key. Okay, so when we examine these positions, okay, we should be examining what is the method. It's not necessarily what is the sequence of moves that leads to the positive result. What is the method? If we understand the method, then we're going to look at, then the method is going to direct us to the sequence of moves, and the sequence of moves is directed by the power method, the forcing moves, which are comprised of three types: checks, captures, and threats. All right, and a variation is nothing else than a sequence of moves that's made of those three type of moves. That's what a variation is: a forcing sequence, a forcing variation. Okay, very good. All right, all right. Let's move on. Let's move on, baby. Let's see. What am I doing? I don't know, but I'm doing something. All right, let's go on to the next one. And here's the next one. And let me blow it up here and look at this position, guys. What are you thinking about? Material is what? Even, right? 3 pawns to 3 pawns, 2 pawns to 2 pawns, queen to queen, rook to rook, bishop to knight. So more or less, material is even, right? But there's one big difference, and the big difference is whose move it is. Is it? Whose move is it? And it happens to be White's move. And because White has the move, then he can claim some kind of advantage. And what is the move that White should play? And and you tell me, Queen to C2. Somebody suggested. Anybody else? So we have these are the suggestions: Queen to C2. Okay. So this is one of the suggestions. Okay. Anybody else? That's correct. So this is called a double attack. Yes, it's a double attack. All right. Okay, same. Okay, so yeah. So this is the best move. This is the best move because basically this is called alignment. This is called alignment of a battery against the king. Alignment, and also the knight is sick or old or young. Its mobility is very low. Why? It is unprotected. It's a loose piece. So we have two weaknesses. The knight is a loose piece, target number one, and by doing alignment, we have target number two. Okay, so now we create a double attack. And if you want to win a chess, okay, one of the secrets is create double attacks. Okay, your opponent can parry one of your attacks, but if you have a double attack, it's not so easy. Okay, because a position might not hold the opportunity to have a double defense. Okay, but there's always opportunity to have a if you have a single attack, there's a single defense. But if you have a double attack, finding a double defense is more problematic. Okay, so queen to c2 creates alignment, target number one, and target number two is a loose piece. And there you go. Okay, you find a square that's going to attack both targets, and that's what this is about. Very good, guys, very good. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so this has to do with alignment also. Okay, this has to do with alignment. Okay, let's put everything back and take a look at it and let's chat about it. Let's chat, baby. All right, what do you see? How do you see it? And when do you see it? And what do you do? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Any declarations? Any confessions? Let me hear it. All right, cranberry juice 33. That's correct. Okay, so I have two of you guys agreeing, and let's look at it. Okay, I mean, you could have taken here, and what does that do? I don't know what this does. You could have taken here, and it is bad. Why is it bad? Because you're still down the exchange, right? It will be queen. Black is going to have a queen and rook, and white is going to have a queen and bishop if you win the exchange. Okay, so that's not a good idea. But it's a good idea to freeze this piece. If this is frozen, okay, if this is frozen, then nobody can defend that square. Okay, so let me change the color. If the rook on f7 is frozen, nobody can defend these squares. And then when you play this alignment, okay, on the dark squares, because the dark squares are weak, the dark squares are weak because of the pin, because of the pin. Okay, that's weak, and now the queen is going to enter on the dark squares because of the pin. Okay, and that is correct. Okay, so this is about diagonal alignment. Okay, and this happens because white is enjoying the two bishops, and that creates problems for the black side. Okay, two bishops are called a pair, and a pair together are stronger than a single piece. Okay, they increase the value. So when you have two bishops, you should never give them away. You should never trade one of them unless you get something back for giving away one of them. Okay, you see what I'm saying? All right. Okay, guys, this is excellent. How you guys doing? Talk to me. How you guys doing? Okay. Are you learning anything? Do you find this interesting? Is it fun? Anyway, so my focus is method and how do you organize your mind in a meaningful way to be able to find solutions to problems. Okay? So this is about mind training. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, I believe you. Okay, so I think one of the reasons I think chess is was interesting to me and something I want to investigate and do, and I was in college and somehow I picked us in college when I was 20. I learned to play chess when I was 20, and anyway, there were reasons for that. But anyway, what do I want to say? Let me see what I want to say. Um, Yeah, I mean, chess in itself means nothing to me. Chess for me is a way of improving my mind. Okay, um, I mean, when you play chess, there are problems, and the way how you're going to solve your problems. And I think one of the things to do is to explore your inner world and see, how it works. So basically, I have a laboratory. We're able to observe what is happening in my inner world, how my mind is working, how is it working, why is it working that way, what does it want, and I'm able to explore these thoughts, this process, you know, and then I'm able to enter inwards and then solve things. And I find that very amazing. Anyway, anyway, so I'll stop there and I'll try not to be too philosophic. Anyway, so let's move on to the next one. All right, let's see what we have. All right, so here's the next position. All right, and let me do this. So anyway, as you know, I'm Punk Monk Z, and I'm kind of new to the streaming, but I think I have very good content, and I share with you things that make sense to me, and that I think have helped me to understand the game, and I share those things with you, and I'll share methods, ideas, concepts. I think that's more important than memorizing stuff. I think when you get very much better than what you are now, if you are not a master, is that I think it's more important to understand. Okay, because I think you get more emotional satisfaction when you're involved and you create yourself instead of basing your play on memory. Okay, so when you create, you have a godlike ability to do something. You see? Yeah, who knows? Maybe. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about something here. Okay. Now this is a very important position. Okay, I'm going to discuss it in a little sec. Get familiar with it, and if this is your first time on the channel, my channel, okay, follow me, please. Okay, and and you're also welcome to subscribe if you wish so, if you like the content. I also have some of this material posted to YouTube under Punk Monk Z. And also on chess.com, I have a little group called Punk Monk Z. It has an open door policy. You can join it, and there's instructional stuff, in that group, and things like that. All right. So here's the position. Here's the position, and how do we commence our attack? Now, I mean, look at this position. We have a queen and bishop, right? We have a queen and bishop, and his two rooks are stronger than a queen, and the bishop cancels out bishop. So two rooks are stronger than a queen, and plus he has four extra pawns. Okay, so let's say the queen is 10 points, and I know you guys think the queen is 9. That's fine too, but okay, it might be more accurate to say the queen is 10, and each rook is 5.25. So basically then when we add it together, 5.25 plus 5.25 is 11 points, right? Am I right? No, wait a minute. Is it 10? 10 and a half, right? It's 10 and a half points versus, and the queen is 10. So in this position, two rooks over queen is like a half a pawn advantage, right? And plus you have four pawns, so you have a 4.5 advantage. So black is plus 4.5 and white is minus 4.5. You see what I'm saying? So materially speaking, white is busted. So if white doesn't find something very quickly, white should lose because of just pure mathematics. Okay, so now let me read what you guys have to say, and how would you start your attack? Now, Vefa says queen to h7, king f7, bishop to g6. Okay, well that's not good. That's not good because the king escapes to e7, and when the king escapes through e7, Vefat, when the king escapes on the square e7 after your queen and bishop sequence, okay, white is minus 4.5, and it's all over. White is losing. Okay, and then it's very difficult to get to the black king, and white king is totally naked. This is horrible. It's a losing position. So that sequence doesn't work. Okay? So, and you're right about one thing. And that one thing you're looking at the power moves, which are checks. But did you know you start with a queen check? And as a rule, you always attack with the strongest piece. If you have a choice between two checks, checking with a stronger piece or checking with a weaker piece, a lesser piece, I always look at the stronger piece check first. Now I know it doesn't work, so now I have to investigate a check with the lesser piece, and that's what you should be looking at now. Examine that and see where it leads. Okay, go ahead, take your time, and let me know what you find or where you have to stop, and where you stop, we'll go from there. Okay. Okay. Cranberry juice. Bishop h7, king to h8, bishop to g. Okay, cranberry juice has it right. Yes, very good. Now, so anyway, and by the way, this pattern that you're looking at now, I did, I did prior videos, pattern one, pattern two, pattern three, and maybe I did pattern four. I don't remember. And yeah, I did those videos, and you can find those videos on YouTube, and you'll find this. You find skeleton positions of this concept. Okay, in one of those videos. Okay, and when you go to YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, it doesn't cost you anything. You just push a button. That's it. Okay, but if you subscribed on what's it called on this channel on Twitch, it might cost you a little bit. And to do that, you have to go to chat and click on the little diamond or something, the rabbit hole, and see where it leads. And I'll leave it there. Anyway, okay, more advanced. Okay, well, we'll get to those. We'll get to those. Okay, so there's more inexperienced players than experienced players. So we'll start with them a little bit and build them up. But you know what? Junkrat Daddy, stay with us, and who knows? We might have more difficult problems for you. Okay, all right. So stick around and let's see. All right, all right. So let's take a look at this idea. In this position, the bishop leads the attack, check, and the king has to go to the corner, and the king is frozen. That's a good sign. When the king is frozen, that's a good sign. And now by playing to g6, okay, the bishop shuts down this square right here, f7. So when the king moves, the king cannot escape on f7 because the bishop stops it. And now when the king moves, I can go for the mate. Okay, so there you go. That was simple, easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, now, all right. Now let's take a look at this position. Let's take a look at this position. Okay. Now I'll give you a little tip. Um, Knight on f5. If there's a knight on f5 close to the king, okay, and even if there's a material equality, you can count that you're +1 because you have a knight on f5. Okay. Now, if the black king is maybe on this side of the board, okay, then this will be the corresponding square for the knight to be on c5, right? Now, if the black knight happens to be on f5, that is the same thing as the white knight being on f5. So f4 is a key square for black, and also c4 is a key square for black if the white king was on this side of the board. Okay, so these four squares are key squares for the knights. Okay, these squares are the key squares for the knight if you had black pieces, and these squares here are the key squares for the knight if you have white pieces. And if the knight's on those squares, even if the material is the same, you can give yourself an extra pawn because the knight is on those squares. So that's the first point. Okay? Okay, do you got it? Now in this position, okay, Gary says whose move is it? Well, it's obvious whose move it is. Okay, who can tell me it's obvious? Who can tell me why it's obvious? Because if it's white to move, I mean he's going to play checkmate, right? All right. So we have to know. So by just that, it has to be black's move. Okay. So white is threatening checkmate. Queen takes g7. Right. That's a checkmate because the knight is supporting the queen. So we attack on g7. Right. Okay. So now here's the question. It is black to play. How does it stop the mate? Chisel 595 resign. Okay, cranberry juice. Then okay. Well, okay. I mean, we can black is, but it's really funny if you look at this position. Black has more material. Okay, so if white has nothing right away, black must win because black has a bigger army, but his army is disorganized. It's not organized. Okay, and the two pieces, uh, here and here, okay, well coordinated, and they have very serious, decisive threats here. Okay, okay. I mean, this bishop is not functional. I mean, it's functional. It's a shield, but it has no power to attack. Neither does the rook. Okay, so these two pieces are not really that good. Okay, and this queen has no ability to attack the king. Okay, so king is very safe. Yeah. Okay, and we're threatening mate. Okay, so there's only one move here, and that move is this, right? And now in this position, how do we continue? Okay, now if you don't know how to continue, what should you be thinking about? If you don't know what to do, if you don't know what to do, the answer is in the power move method. The answer is in the power move method. Okay. Now Cranberry immediately said knight to e. He found a checking move, but what Cranberry failed to recognize, he should first make a list of all the checks, and that is something he did not do. He saw the first check and he is ready to go for it. That is the wrong approach. You have to list. You have to make a mental list of all the checks, and then that's the correct method. Okay, that is the correct. Make a mental list of all the checks. Then, when your first move fails, or if it fails, then you're going to examine the other check. But if you don't see if you don't see two checks at the beginning, you're going to miss the second check possibility, the second candidate, which is a check. Do you understand what I'm saying? Ah, do you see the difference? Do you see the difference, Cranberry? There's a big difference. You identify two possibilities instead of just playing one, and that widen your move selections. Okay, very good, very good. Now let me just show you that this is losing. This is losing. This is losing because yum yum, right? And now I play check, then I promote here, and now what does he do? If when I play check and check, he's going to block here, and the only way to do another check is to be where? On this square, to come back. But the queen is going to cover the square, okay? And black is going to win, right? So now if we play now this check, I block, and this check, well, everything will be defended, and it's all over, okay? So let's go back. So the correct move is after this, then the king is frozen. The king is frozen. He can't move. That's a good sign for the attacking side. And this is a smothered mate. Game over. So you have to look at all the checks, and this is the superior check. This check here is a losing check, but this check is the winning check. Okay? So you have to look. So what is the lesson here? Let me reinstate. The lesson is you have to look for power moves, number one, and then you have to make a mental list of the forced choices. It's like this. It's like this. Okay. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say something. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so let's go back here. So it's like this. Okay, and it's white to play. And white should be thinking is this. I have to make a choice. I have to make a choice. And how many choices do I have? I'm looking for checks. How many choices do I have? Okay, so whenever, so you see that. So whenever you have choices, like this is a choice and this is a choice, you have two choices. Those are two different directions. Okay, and then when there are two choices, two different directions or more, you have to make a mental list. Okay? If there's only one choice, then you can follow the trend of thought of making forcing moves. But when there is more than one choice, where two choices or more, you have to mentally identify all the choices and then When the mental list is made, then you have examined each of those directions and see what the outcome is from each one of them. You see what I'm saying? Let's say that is true and leave it there for the moment. All right. All right. Let's move on. All right. Let's move on. How do I do this? I don't know, but I did it. All right. I don't know what this is about. All right. Okay. Look at this position and let's examine it and let's work on our thought process and then let's look at the method of thinking which are based on force move or what we call the power method. Okay, and then in the power method we're going to use create a create a mental list of possibilities. Okay, when there's more than two choices to be made. All right then. Raul Duke Thompson, welcome to the chat. And if you're here for the first time, I think you might be, then follow me so you'll be notified when Mr. Awesome, meaning me, will be streaming so you can jump on the opportunity for your mind to expand into brilliance. So what am I looking? Oh, Cranberry, you're playing black. Cranberry, you're playing black and it's black to move. And now you have just, well, okay, I won't say much. And Gary, in chess.com, in the Punk Monk Z group, um, on Opening Thoughts forum, I posted a repertoire for white, which you might be interested in. So take a look at it. Okay, it's a little bit different from Kings in the Attack. Um it's under the G3 system, and I gave some examples there. And you might prefer to play that over the KIA, Kings in the Attack. So take a look. All right, winning the queen. Rook to b1, winning the queen. How does rook to b1 win the queen, Gary? How does rook to b1 win the queen? That's my question. The queen is protected. Oh, I see what you mean, Gary. Okay, okay, okay. So this is what Gary is thinking, okay? Gary is thinking if he plays rook check and the rook takes back, he's going to win the queen. Okay, that's what he's thinking. Okay? But do you know what what Gary was do you know what Gary is doing wrong here, guys? There's something that Gary is doing wrong. Okay? Now what Gary said is correct, but his method is wrong. Okay? And let me tell you why his method is wrong. What he said is correct. Okay? But the method is wrong. Let's find out why. Okay? So when Gary played here, okay, we have two choices. Choice number one and choice number two. Gary does not recognize that the king can take the rook. He only recognizes that when the rook takes here, he's going to win the queen. Okay? That's what's wrong with Gary's thinking. Okay? Gary did not remember. Here rook check, and now Gary, you should ask, what is white going to do? What are his options? His options are this, or his option is that. Okay? So in this position, the king can take, or the rook can take. So there are two choices here. Okay? Gary does not recognize the other choice, and that's the weakness of his thinking. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying? So Gary, do you see what I'm talking about? Okay, you have to make a mental list, not just for yourself, but you have to make a mental list of your opponent's possibilities to defend. You have to make a mental list, and you're failing to make a mental list of the choices for your opponent. It is not just for yourself, but you have to also make a mental list for your opponent. Okay, so that's your lesson, and that's a weakness in your thinking. Okay, so if you correct that, it's a no-brainer to say that your game is going to improve by correcting that flaw in your thinking. Okay, now Cranberry says king takes b1, queen to b7, and queen a3 stopping mate. I don't understand. I do not understand queen a3 stopping mate. I don't understand that. I can see king takes b1 and queen to b7. If queen to b7, the king is in check. Why is the queen moving? The king is in check. What do you mean, Cranberry? Okay, but you're more than half right, by the way. But your calculations are wrong. Okay, but your first move is correct. Okay, so let's see what Cranberry is thinking. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let's go back. Okay, if you play rook check, and Gary is right, if rook takes, then Gary is right. Okay, that means white should not be taking with the rook because he's losing. So he has to take with the king, right? But then we move the queen out of danger and give a check, and the king can go either here or the king go either here. Okay, or the queen can block. Excuse me, let me do it. Or the queen can block. So these are the three choices. So you identify all the choices. Now, if the queen blocks here, we're going to take the queen with a check, and then black is left to moving here. White is left to moving here or here, right? And then what happens then? Who can tell me? Well, both roads for white leads to his defeat, and if the king goes to a1, or if the king goes to c1, it's going to be mate on b2. Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. All right. There you go, buddy. Cranberry, you're doing good, man. Do you know that? Do you have a rating? Your choices are yes or no. So give me one of those and we'll move on. Yeah. So do you have a rating? Are you about what? 1800 or something or what? 19? What? Yeah, whatever. UCF, ELO, whatever. Chess is about organizing your mind. And when your mind is organized, it's efficient. And if it's efficient, then you can be able to process information much more quicker and more accurate. All right. Okay. Anybody have any questions about this diagram? If there's no questions, we'll move on. Okay, should we move on, guys? Give me a signal. All right, very good. All right, let me see who's here very quickly. And Pranusha, hello there. First time viewer. Say hi in the chat if you want. And yeah, let's move on and see what else we can pick up from this adventure, from this exploration. Okay, in terms of developing one's mind. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, baby. Here we go. Don't look. All right. Here's the position, and let's look at it. Let's look at it. It is white to play. It is white to play. What do you see? What do you understand? So the first part of the process is just to collect information. Collect information. Look at the position, collect information. Okay, what are you picking up? What are you picking up here? It is white to play, guys. What's going on? Anybody? Somebody? Anyone? It's white to play, and okay. So Cranberry said something strange. This is the B4 square right here. That's the B4 square. So what are you talking about? Knight takes B4 or C4. Okay. Okay, got it. Okay. So right now the knight is attacking the bishop, but it's white to play. So knight is attacking the bishop, but it's white to play. I mean, bishop can move somewhere and be safe. Okay, so it's white to move. Okay, so now the question is, what should white do? And now let me hear it. What should white do? Knight to g5. Well, don't you lose your queen? Is going to take your queen then. Are you going to lose your queen, buddy? Cranberry. Yeah. No, no, it's okay. There's no need to be sorry. I mean, there's no wrong answers. I mean, you're putting an honest effort into try to understand this. Yeah, everything is good. Everything is good. Oh, excellent, excellent, Gary. Okay, Gary's correct. And let's now look at the position and let's try to recognize what the pattern is. Okay, because it's about patterns and methods. Okay, let me show you the pattern. Okay, this piece is not protected. Okay, do we agree on that? Is the bishop on g4 not protected? Yes or no? Okay, that's simple. Okay, so when the bishop's on g4, pin. Okay, okay, hold on. When the bishop is unprotected, when the bishop is unprotected and it's pinning the knight to the queen, okay, and you have a knight and a bishop. You have a knight and a bishop. The bishop is on this diagonal here, attacking f7, and the bishop is unprotected, and the knight is pinned. Okay, you can always play this move: check, and then check, and pick up the loose piece, and you're +1. Okay, so that's the pattern. What is the pattern? The pattern is the bishop on g4 is LPDO, loose pieces drop off, it's unprotected, and the knight is pinned. The knight is pinned. Okay, that's not a problem if we have a bishop on the long diagonal, and then we can sacrifice the bishop, and then we can attack the king with a check and get our piece back. And we won a pawn here, and now we have +1, and we have a better pawn structure because he has 1, 2, 3. He has 3 islands, and we have 4 islands. King has castle. The king has no castle, and he's weak on the white squares. Okay, so maybe here, maybe here. I don't know what. Okay, there's lots of problems here. Okay, maybe here, maybe this. Okay, maybe. Yeah, that's a okay. So maybe I can play here. Tempo the queen. Queen moves. I take. Okay, and something like that. It doesn't really matter what you do here. Okay, theoretically the position is winning. Okay, because white has more than one advantage. He has a material advantage of being +1. He has a pawn structure advantage, and the white squares are weak, and the king has lost. Now those are four disadvantages, or four advantages for white at least. Okay, so this is all good. All right, and the bishop here is biting on a rock. Okay, okay, and these pieces, how do they get into play? There's no quick way. I mean, everything's bad in this position. Okay, and there you go. Okay, so there you go. So that's the correct answer. Okay, very good, Gary. All right, so let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one, and let's look at this one. Okay, what am I looking at? I don't know, but okay. Okay, close your eyes. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. Did you look? Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. All right. So what am I doing? Okay, let me see. Okay, guys, take a look at this position. Spend some time collecting information, and when you have collected all the information you can, okay. And the question is, when do you know if you have collected all information? And the answer is when you have no doubts. Okay, and you come to a conclusion, you know what to do. That means there's no doubts and you're ready to make a commitment. And that's the point where you have all the information, where there's no doubts and you're going to make a commitment. You understand that? So when you play chess, okay, don't make a move if there's still doubt in your mind. Okay? So basically, do you see what I'm saying? All right. And so Cranberry says queen to d4. Okay. So queen to d4. Okay, Cranberry, let me ask you a question. Is queen to d4 a check? Is it a capture or is it a threat? Which one, under what category does queen to d4 fall into? That's correct. Okay, now, according to the power move method, what is the first level of threats? What is the move called? Threat is your third choice according to the power move method. The power move method says there are three power moves. They are called check, capture, and threat. Those are like a three musketeers, right? You see that? Three musketeers. There's the strongest musketeer, second strongest, and third strongest. But you have to play the musketeer moves: check, capture, or threat. You picked up the weakest one to try out first. Okay? Now, it might be true that the weakest one is the only correct one. Okay? But I don't really know. I haven't looked at the top tier yet. Okay? I don't know if it's going to fail or succeed. But I have to start from the top and then go down the ladder. Do you understand what I'm saying, Cranberry? All right. So Gary has an answer already. And Gary, I never knew you were that strong before. You know? I thought you were more like a weakie. Okay? So Gary, I thought you were more like a weakie, but it seems like you have some skillage. Okay? So let me take a look at something here. Okay, now you see that? You see that, Cranberry? You said you needed more advanced puzzles. Okay, but you're learning from the simple ones. Okay, and what you're learning is a method. Okay, so it's not so simple. All right, you learn the method. Okay, and 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 by the way, let me just show you something very quickly. If you play, you move queen to d4, right? He can play here. You have to play here. He plays here, and you play here. Okay, and now, okay, let's cancel everything out. We have two pawns. Let's cancel two pawns. We have a rook. He has a rook. Let's cancel that. Okay, so basically the difference is two pawns. The difference is the difference. If I can do this, the different. Why can I do this? Okay, hold on. The difference is there are two pawns against here. So basically the difference is that white is +1. Okay, do you see that? Do you see that? You see that? So basically, if you played your move you intend to, cranberry, okay, you get to play a position where where you only plus one, you're pawn up, okay, and I'm not sure what the result is, but well, well, the result is you're winning only because you have a outside pass pawn. The a pawn is going to run, okay. I think that's going to give you the edge, okay, to win, okay, but you only plus one, okay. You're lucky you have the pass a pawn, okay. Otherwise, it's not so clear that you can win that at all. Okay, but okay, okay. Let's go back and let's look at the power move method. Okay, are you ready? All right. So the power move method says you have to look for checks. Well, and the key component here is that the f pawn is frozen because it's pinned by the bishop. You see that? Okay, so that's the first piece of information you should pick up. The f pawn is not protecting g6. The f pawn. There's only one pawn that's protecting g. This pawn is not. So the only pawn that's protecting the g6 square is this pawn here. So if we sacrifice this, the f pawn cannot take here. Okay? And this is a check. And it's a mate because the bishop cuts down escape squares, so you have to take here. Okay? And when he takes, we have a bishop on a long diagonal, and we have a rook on an open h file. Okay? And the two lines converge, and you put the checking piece on the line on the two lines that converge, and it's mate. Okay, so let's go back and see that. So let's go back again. Okay, and there you go. Um, okay, you see what I'm saying? Now, Gary, are you still there with me? Are you there, Gary? Let me ask you a question, Gary. Are you there? Okay, Gary, I want to know how were you able to find the correct answer? Can you give me a can you give me some thoughts on that question? Okay, and I'm going to listen to you. How were you able to find the correct answer? Okay, go ahead. Tell me. Okay, let me have a little more milk chocolate here. There you go. Congratulations. Oh, by the way, CCT means checks, captures, and threats. That's what CCT means. Abbreviation for checks, captures, and threats. CCT. Okay? And then the pair of bishop, you recognize the pinning power. And one of the bishops with the H file gives a checkmate with the rook. Yeah? There you go. So, Gary, does the method work? Does the method work? Yes or no? Well, okay, very good. Okay. All right then. Let's move on. Okay, now this is a little bit more complex, and I think you have to be a little more advanced here. And cranberry, you said earlier that You need more advanced puzzles. Those were too easy. Okay. Well, can you solve this one? This is not so easy, I don't think. Okay. How you go about playing this? I mean, you're not going to randomly make moves and try to find an answer. You cannot do it randomly. Okay. That's why the CCT method is not random. It's specifically designed for certain type of moves, forcing moves that's going to lead to a force outcome. So it's not random. It's actually very tuned and designed. Oh, sorry, Cranberry. I have more chocolate. Ha 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 ha. Journey Chess Baby. How you doing? I don't think I have seen you before. Welcome to the stream. Press the follow button. Follow me, Mr. Awesome. I mean, excuse me, Punk Monk Z. That's me. And yeah. And so, what are you doing here? Yeah, are you here to entertain yourself? Are you here to learn something? Um, are you just going to kind of watch and chill out? Okay. Okay. So cranberry. You have to start using the CCT method. You understand? CCT. Okay. Bishop bishop to h6 is a capture in two. That's a threat. Capture in two. Okay. So when you play, your suggestion is to play this. Okay, that's not a check, it's not a capture, but this is move number one, move number two. So you're capturing in two moves. Okay, so that's a threat. Okay, now my question to you is, why are you looking at threats when there are stronger weapons that are available to you? They are called checks. When the weapon check does not work, then you go to the next weapon. And the next weapon in line is to take something. It's called capture. And you look at make a list of all the captures. If they don't work, then you look at the third level of a weapon, which is your weapon, which is a capture in two or a check in two. Okay, so do you understand the point? What I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to tell you? Okay, okay. You have to prioritize your thinking, Cranberry. You're doing it. You're randomly selecting moves. You cannot randomly select moves. You have to use the method, power method, to select moves from top to bottom. On the top is the check sequence. In the middle is the threat sequence. No, I'm sorry. In the middle is the capture sequence. And on the level 3 is your type of move, threat. That's the weakest level. Okay. So, okay, let's look at it. Do we have any checks here? Yes or no? It's a simple question. Do you have any checks? Okay, how many checks do we have? What you said is correct. How many checks do we have here? Okay, you're calculating already. I don't want you to calculate till you tell me how many checks there are. You have to make a mental list of all the checks first. Well, okay. If you think that that's all force, then you be right. If you cannot control yourself and your mind wants to move forward with a solution, then you go ahead. And if it leads to mate, it leads to mate, and you're right. But if it doesn't lead to mate, you have to go back and identify all the checks. So how many checks are here? Is it one, or is it two, or is it three or four, or whatever? Give me a number of checks you have. Okay, there's only one. Okay, then now we know. Now we know if the rook to h8 doesn't work, we have to look for captures then. You see that? Okay, so let's take a look. Let me see what you wrote. Rook to h8, bishop takes, rook takes, king takes, bishop x6, king to g1, queen to h. You know, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, Cranberry. Very impressed. Okay? Now, let me ask you a question. What you said is correct. Okay? But did you prioritize your thinking? Yes or no? What do you think? Is this all forced? Somewhere in the sequence, was there a second direction for the defense? Did you miss it? And if you missed it, the reason you missed it because you did not, when black had more than one choice, you did not list the choices. You just played it all the way through. Oh, that was Gary. Oh my God, you're right. Okay, back to Gary. Okay, see, Gary has this sin. You see, the sin is coming back. Sorry, Cranberry, you're right. Gary, are you sinning again? What you said is all correct. Okay, but did you not? But maybe you failed to identify. Okay, black's defensive choices. You don't list them. You just rush through there. When black has a choice of moves, you stop and you identify the black's choices, and then you take one at a time. Gary, do you understand my message? So you know what, guys? So this course here today, this subject is about tactics the easy way, and we talk about power method. We talk about how to calculate. This is about calculation also. Okay, how do we organize our calculation? That's a skill. Okay, and we organize our calculation by you know, listing all the choices you have and listing all the choices your opponents have. Now, the way Gary gave the answer is like black had no choice except one path, and he lists the path, and the path is correct. But you know what? I bet you there's another path that black can take, and Gary did not list it because he did not see it. And why didn't he see it? Because he never stopped to identify the branching point. Okay, when the road leads into two different roads. He just saw it all as one road. Okay, so let's take a look at this and see how this goes. Okay, so we're looking at checks, and here's a check. There's only one check. Yum yum check. Now Gary said that he has to take here, right? He has to take. But what happens? What happens, Gary, if the king does not take? Okay, this is what you fail to see. This is what you fail to see. If the king takes a rook, everything you said is correct. But if the king does not want to take the rook, then we get this position, and you have no calculation on this, and you made a commitment, okay, in that variation to play it, and you did not even see this. So the question is, why did you fail to see king to g7? Okay, you failed to see king to g7. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back and put that into your equation. Okay, now you know there's another possibility, so you should be saying to yourself, rook to h8 check, bishop takes h8, rook takes bishop check, and now I can take the rook, or I can go king to g7. So black has two choices, so you have to identify black's choices before you calculate. You have to identify black's choices before you calculate. Gary, did you get me? All right, so let's move on then. All right, so check and check. And now, if he does take, Gary's correct, and then there's no stopping this mate, right? Because the bishop supports the queen, and that's winning, okay? And this is what Gary saw, all right? Okay, but Gary failed to recognize that after check, he can take once, but he doesn't take the second time. He does not take the second time, and he plays the move king to g7. And now, from this position, how do we continue? So you identify the two defensive choices that black has. You make a list of them, and you saw the first choice where the king takes the rook, and that wins for you. But Gary, do you know that if he declines the second rook, does this win for you? And now, how do you continue from here, Gary, or anybody? Okay, Cranberry. See you later, guy. So what do you do here, Gary? Okay, queen to h1. Queen to h1. Is that a check, Gary? Queen to h1, is it a check or is it a threat? Or is it I'm sorry, is it a check, is it a capture, or is it a threat? Tell me. Is queen to h1 a check, a capture, or a threat? Which one is it? Okay, but do you have any checks? Why did you skip on the checks? They don't exist? You have to try to find the strongest weapon. Threat weapon is number 3 on the list. That is there number 1 or 2? Do they exist? Did you look at that, or did you just see queen to h1 and I can continue attacking? All right, so let's take a look at it. Okay, so in this position we have to look for checks. There is a check. Okay, and now, okay, now let's see. And okay, now let me see what happens if he takes. Just a minute. If he takes, right? Okay, then I can play. Then I can play check. No, 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 no. Let me see. Yeah, can I play check here? Yeah, I can play check. And when he goes here, I can play another check. And after this, we'll transpose into the line, Gary, that you saw before. Okay? Okay. So to go into the line you saw before, you have to play check and then check, and he declines your offer, and then you have to play this check. That's a check. It's not a threat. And if he now, okay, wait a minute. Now if he takes, then you can go into check again and check again. And now you can go into a threat, which is check into, and that wins. Now, let's go back. Let's go back. And let's say he takes take, and now he declines. Let's go with this king to g7, and you play check, and now he runs away. Okay? How do you continue here? Okay? Now, you do have a check here, and you have a check here. Okay? You have two checks. Okay? And what to do? Well, I will eliminate rook takes. Okay, this move here, rook takes, I don't think it's any good. And why is that? Well, I think either the queen or the king can take, and there's no more checks after that. So this move is no good. So now I'm gonna use the elimination method and say I cannot play this check. Okay, what about this check? Okay, I would have to come back here, don't I? Right? And then I can maybe repeat the position and maybe get a draw. That's a possibility. Okay, or I can play this move, which is a check. See, I see. and that prevents him from getting a draw. But if I play check, excuse me, if I play check here, he cannot come up to look for a draw by repetition. So by playing this move here, I remove the draw and I'm threatening mate, right? So now when he starts to run, okay, what do I do? Now if I play check here, he's going to run, okay? But I can play this move, and this is a check in two. So this check here doesn't work because there's a defense, right? So there's no check. Is there any capture here? There's no capture. So I have to make a threat. And what is the threat? Check in two. So I can play one, and my move is to play check in two. And when he takes, and then I can drop here for a mate. So that's the basic idea. So now I can make a threat, which is a check in two, one, and he has to run away. But then we go into a check here, and it's we have X-ray and we win the queen. So let's look at the CCT. Okay, so this is a check. This is a check. So two moves were check, and after this, okay, the third move is a check, and after this, and this is a threat, and after this is a threat, and after this is a check. So you see, every move that you made was part of the CCT method. You see that? Every move. It's one of those three. Okay? And you have to find the correct sequence of those categories to put them together. Okay? To weave them together so they can produce the proper result. Okay? And now you know the hierarchy, and you have to go according to the hierarchy, from the strongest move from the top to the bottom. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, let's move on. This wasn't easy. Okay, this wasn't easy. Okay? All right, so let's go to some easy ones so we can finish this. Okay, now Gary, you should know this one. This is so easy peasy, lemon squeezy, don't look. And here's the position, and let's look at it. So, all right, so let's look at it. And how would you go about solving this problem? Journey chess. Okay, you're so quiet all of a sudden. What's going on, buddy? All right. So in this position, black has a bigger army, and in the long run, black should win. But the happy thought behind this position is this white to play. Okay, is there something that white can do to bring the game in his favor? That's the question. And what can he do here? What can he do? Now, if you don't know what to do, you have to use the CCT method. CCT, checks, captures, or threats. Okay, and let's start with checks. Do we have any checks here? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay. There's a check on E7, right? But the king. What can happen here? Okay, and what does that do? What happens there after knight to e7? That's a check. And actually, there's two checks here. Okay, so let me make a list of the checks. There's a check on e7 and there's a check on h6. Well, check on a6 makes no sense. Okay, just loses a knight. And this check, he has two choices. He can move the king, or he can take the knight. See, you have to identify that there are two choices. Now, let's say after this check, he can eat, and then we can play a rook check, and he can come back to defend, and he has to take, and the king is going to take. And black is a little bit better. Why? Because he's closer to the center than this king, and material is even. Okay, maybe it's a draw, and draw by best at best for white. Okay, at best. Okay, because black is more advanced toward the center. His king will be. All right, and so that doesn't work, right? So what else can we try? Any thoughts? Okay, so checks are not working that well. Okay, so rook to c8. What kind of move is that? And okay, let's look at the captures for example. And there's captures. There's this capture. There's only one capture on the board. Well, king takes. That makes no sense. So basically, all the checks fail. All the captures fail, and there's only one capture. There were two checks, and they failed to win. Okay. Um, Maybe knight to e7 can produce a draw. Okay. Uh, so checks are, I mean, checks, knight to e7 might produce a draw, which is a good conclusion, but black will be a little bit better in that position. Maybe it's not enough to win. Maybe it's a draw. I'm not sure. Um, but and this check is a failure. All right. So let's say checks are not very promising. The captures are not promising. So now we're left to the threat level. Okay. And the threat level is what? Check in two, right? We have a check in two. This is move number one. And when he takes, it's check in two. Right? And when he moves here. And now we have an extra knight and so the game is won. Okay. So CCT seems to work. Okay, very good. Now, let me see what's going on. Let me see what's going on. All right. Welcome, confused. And yeah, so that was easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And what am I doing? Let me see. Now I know what I'm doing. All right, let's move to the next one. Okay, I think we have about two, three more, and we're done. Thank God. All right, let's look at 19. Let's look at 19, and and spend some time collecting information, and then we'll work it from here. Okay, let's start collecting information. Well, I mean, immediately, I'm happy here having white, and I'm happy because of I have a queen and rook, which is stronger than a rook and knight, obviously. Also, on b2, I have a pass pawn. Okay, and also my king is closer to the center than his king. Okay, so when I look at this, all the white pieces are better than black pieces. Yes. All right, that's a good sign. All right, so now now the question is, how do I continue? How do I continue to try to win this? How do I continue? And also, I noticed the little bird. There's a little bird here. Who can tell me the little bird? I mean, what I would like to do is to play queen here, and that's the head of the bird, and the tail of the bird is the pawn. And the head and the tail, they make the little bird. So I know that pattern, but this pattern doesn't work because the knight can cut the head off. You see? So when the head comes here to connect with the tail, okay, the head will be lost because the knight is going to chop it off. All right. So maybe the best piece for black is the knight here, because without a knight, black will be a goner. All right. So there, and I mean that's the information we have collected from this position. Now, how do we play it now? That's the question. How do we play this position? Okay, we only have a couple more puzzles done. I mean left, and we're done. So what do we do, the guys? And we will have done 20 puzzles uh, in this session. 20 puzzles. Okay, so how do we play this? Okay, I'll give you about 20 seconds. If you cannot find it, then I'll tell you how I think about it. Okay, Gary, correct answer. Correct answer. Okay, so Gary, you saw an answer, which is a good answer. Actually, it's a method that works. And Gary says, well, I want to build a little bird. I want to put the queen here, and put my head and my tail are connected. We have a little bird, but the knight is going to chop my head off. So you know what I'm going to do? Gary says I'm going to play this move. Remove the defensive piece and then make the little bird. Okay, that's good. Okay, and the second method here is this. Let me show you. Here's the second way to play this: is to play rook to c. I'm sorry, is to play rook to c3. That's the second method, and this method is based on these facts. Okay, this square is shut. This square is taken away. This square is taken away, right? Okay, the king cannot go there. And my simple idea is to come here and then give him mate here, right? And when that happens, he has to probably move here, right? But then he has to play here. He has to be moved here, but then he'll be too late. He'll be too late, and he cannot stop this. Okay, so let's go. So attack on the H file. So basically, we can attack the G7 pawn, a G7 square by removing the guard, or what we can do is play rook here to C3 and bring the rook behind the queen and make H7 the target. Okay, and I don't really know how to stop this. That's it. So those are two ways to proceed with the attack. All right, very nice. And oh, drunk chess, very good. Drunk chess. Well, welcome to the chat, man. Okay, if this is your first time, don't forget to follow me. Press the little heart button somewhere, and you can watch me when I stream. Good stuff. Um, are you an experienced player? Are you rated? What's your level, buddy? So today our topic is tactics, the easy way. And basically we're searching for a method how to figure out tactics. And that's what we're doing here. Finding a method how to figure out tactics. And and since you just came in, you can look at the video later in Twitch and review it. And if it's not there, you can always find it in YouTube for Punk Monk Chess in YouTube. All right, all right, all right. So here we go. Let's move on. Where am I? And remember, my next stream will be Wednesday, and Wednesday about 1 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday, and uh, that session will be based on just play and chat. So we're going to chat and play, and you guys can challenge me. Uh, you can challenge me, playing games with me, and usually it's 5 minutes or less or more. I don't know, but it's chat and play, baby. So Wednesday, that's what it is, and Mondays and Fridays, I try to produce some instructional stuff so I can help you improve your game. Okay, and I choose the stuff which I think is important to me and what I feel has helped me to be somewhat better. Okay, and I'll share that experience with you. Okay, 1800 is pretty good. Okay, all right. Now we're done with this one, right? So let's move on to the next one. Let me see. How do we do this? Oh, now I remember. Let's do this. And let's move on, baby. All right, this is the last one. This is the last one. And this game is a famous game. I think it was played in 1912. In the year 1912, it was a blitz game, and it was played between Edward Lasker and Sir Thomas. I think maybe London. Okay, maybe London. Okay, so we're going to look at this game. We're going to look at this game, and this is a very famous position, and we're going to finish with this position at last. We're going to finish, and it's a beautiful way to finish this. It's a beautiful example, and I think you guys are going to learn a lot from this position. And let's just chat, okay? First of all, get familiar. This is our last puzzle, and we're done. Okay, so take your time, and yeah, take your time and collect some information. Okay, and use the CCT method, and that's going to show you that's going to shed some light of how the game should be played, how the position should be played, and what moves should be played. CCT method, which is the power method. Okay, based on force moves. CCT, and check it out. C stands for checks, and that is C stands for capture, and the T stands for threats. Okay, checks are attacking the king, captures is to take something, and threats are either check in two or maybe capture in two moves, and things like that. So yeah, there you go. and get familiar with this, and we'll work on it. This is our last puzzle, and and if you're going to look at my stuff on YouTube, you can subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything. And you can subscribe here on Twitch. It might cost you something, a donation or something. I think there's a little thing in the chat box somewhere, a little diamond. So if you click on it, it's going to take you in a little rabbit hole, and you see where you end up. Um, and if you like my channel and you want more material, you can tell me what content you like me to cover, and I'll see if I can do that for you. And also, I have a little group on chess.com, and the name of the group is called Punk Monk Z. You can join it. There's an open door policy, and you can join there, and there's lots of instructional stuff there and other activities we plan to do. I won't talk about those yet because I have discussed them in other videos. But anyway, so here's the position. Who wants to try? Who has any thoughts of about this position? Let me hear it. Go ahead. Anybody? Anybody? All right. Wow. Wow. All right. So drunk chess. Why did you think of that move? Can you tell me? Have you seen this game before? First of all, yes or no? All right. So uh, the method we're going to use is CCT method. Oh, okay. So Gary, if the king goes to h8, you mate with knight to g6, correct? Yes or no, Gary? Tell me. Well, anyway, okay. Well, Gary, what you said is correct again, okay? But guess what I'm going to say to you next? Do you know what I'm going to say to you? And this is not criticism. I think you're doing fantastic. You're using CCT. This is excellent, okay? So no criticism. There's a flaw again. Is you're not identifying the defensive choices that black can have. You only identify king to h8, and there's also other moves like king to h6. That's a second direction. Okay? Now, you should not sack your queen unless you have investigated both directions. And if both direction, defensive direction work for you, then you can sack your queen. Otherwise, when you sack your queen and one of the direction does not work and your opponent takes the direction, you be a queen down for a pawn and you must be losing. So to give up a queen like this is very serious unless you look at all the possibilities, directions that your opponent can take to defend. Okay? So again, the same flaw is being expressed that you had before in at least two examples I can think of. And probably more, but I remember two of them, okay, where I corrected you. You're not identifying the candidates, defensive candidates for your opponent. You're missing them, okay? So keep that in mind. And if you want to improve, you have to correct that. All right. So let's look at Gary. Now, this is I call this going fishing. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a story. Going fishing, and when you go fishing, you have a pole and you have a what's it called? The thing that comes out of the pole, the line, right? Okay, Drunken says what? King to H, knight to E to G, king to G, H4, king to F, G3. Okay, so Drunken chess. Have you seen this position before? Yes or no? And you said it seems good. Okay, but the point is, unless you can say checkmate, you're down a queen for a pawn, drunken chess. You have to see it all the way through to justify sacrificing a queen for a pawn. Okay, so if you're going to sacrifice a queen for a pawn, you must give checkmate to the king. Okay, I mean to the king, or at least somehow get a return on your investment by getting his queen or something. I don't know what 000 thing means. Does that mean castling long? Oh yeah, you have seen it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. And okay, castling long is an option, but that's not what he did. He played something else. But castling long will do the same job. Anyway, and um, and I'll tell you why he did not castle long. Uh, I'll come later to that. Okay. Now, when you go fishing, you have a pole and you have a line, right? You throw the line into the water. The fish catches it, and the fish is the king. Okay. Then what you do is you reel the fish towards you, right? So you see, you get the fish out of the water and you put it onto the land. Okay, his side of the board is the water, your side of the board is the land. So you're kind of reeling the king all the way out of the water onto the land and moving deep in your territory. Okay, it's I call this let's go fish, going fishing. Okay, and everything is done with checks, CCT. So checks, captures, and threats. Let's see how this works. Okay, let's go fishing. Okay, okay, check, double check. Okay, double check. The knight and the bishop are giving check at the same time. And now, um, and now what? Now, if the king goes here, this is what Gary saw. He saw this mate. Okay, which is a good thing. Okay. Now, after double check, the king can come up. Okay, and now we can continue with checks. It has to be one of the knights. Okay, one of the knights has to check on the g4 square. That's it. Okay, and now the question is, what knight do you play? Okay, any idea? At least uh, in principle, what knight would you play in principle? Okay, now let me show you what I mean. If you play it this way, right? If you play it this way, you release the queen and you release the rook. And those two pieces now maybe assist the king, right? Okay. But if you play this check here, the queen and rook are caged. They cannot help the king to assist the king because they're caged. The two pieces here. See that? They're caged. And because the knight is still blocking them here. Okay? So this knight must be correct. And that's another check. And when he moves, another check. 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 And when he moves, okay, and let me see the name here. I forgot. And Drunken Chess said castle, and that'll be mate. Yeah, and that is mate. And the reason, but in this, okay, oh, excuse me. Let me just go through this very quickly. Get to the position, okay, and check. And what Edward Lasker played was to play this move, and it's mate. Okay, now, and I think I read a commentary by him in one of his old books. He says how he made a choice between the king or castling. He said he used a piece which is most efficient to deliver. By moving the king, by moving the king, he's only moving one piece. By castling, he's going to move two pieces. So he wants to use the most efficient way, okay, to give checkmate because by training he was an engineer, and by being an engineer, he's trying to look for moves which exert the least amount of effort and which are therefore most efficient. And that's how I decided in this position between castling, or moving the king to d2. Okay? All right. Okay, but you know now you know the story, right? I mean, both moves deliver checkmate. So why is it terrible? Okay, so it seems a question of taste and philosophy. Okay, not terrible, I don't think. Okay, because the most efficient move in a tactical situation is the move that is the move that quickly gets the result done. While castling or king to d2 are both getting the result in one move for both of them. So why is it terrible? I don't get it. So it's not consistent. Anyway, okay, you might say it's ugly, you don't like it. That's a different issue. Okay, because that doesn't meet your aesthetical sense. Okay, but mathematically, I don't see a difference. Okay, okay, and yeah. So there you go. Oh, come on. You know how long this was? This was 3 hours. This stream was 3 hours. So usually my streams are pretty long. They usually, I started with an hour and a half, then went over two, now it's three. This might be the longest one. I'm sure. I don't remember. Okay, well, pretty close. I don't know. But anyway, so guys, thank you for watching my stream. I hope it was useful. Uh, if you can subscribe, that would be nice. And you can subscribe on YouTube or subscribe in Twitch. And the only difference is on YouTube doesn't cost you anything. Okay, here on by subscribing here on what's it called on Twitch, whatever it costs you, it's your choice, the amount. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, so keep joining me for my streams. I think if you do so, I think you'll be a better player. I'm pretty sure, because I think what I have to show you is something that made a difference for me, and whatever I show you, there's a logic to it, and yeah, and I don't think it can harm you. I mean, at worst, it's going to make you better. Okay, to some degree. I think that's a fair statement to some degree, and that depends on you. The degree I'm talking about. Anyway, so Wednesday, if you can join me Wednesday, is chat and play. Is where I'll be playing, chatting, and playing you guys online. And till later, thank you for showing up, and I'll see you guys later. So let me draw the curtain down. Let me see how I'm going to do this. I have some nice tricks here, and here's one of them. Are you ready? This is so cute. Voila, baby. And yes, so there you go. Again, thank you. And if this is your first time, do follow me, please. Press the little heart button somewhere that says follow, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much. Ciao.